Welcome to Las Vegas, Nevada. This is Truncated with Truncated Gaming. Today I'm going to be doing something a little different. I've been wanting to do this for a long time now. I wanted to do, it's called an in-depth series. I'm going to look at three teams, the three teams that I play the most, and I'm going to kind of walk through my thinking on how to generally play the team and how to build the team talent-wise. I'm going to go over Undead, Dark Elves, and Humans. These are by far the three teams that I have played the most in my career. I have a really good grasp on most teams. I'm not Sage level, for any instance, but these three teams I know intimately. I know very, very well. And I want to use these things as a starting off point. You get a lot of questions about how to build teams or what are your philosophies, and especially new players. I always want to kind of get into what are you thinking when you're building a team. Like what talent directions do I go, and why do you go them? It's awesome to go onto the rookie Discord, the Reddit Rookie League Discord. Go on that. There's a advice channel on there. I'm on there a lot. There's a lot of really good coaches on there giving advice. But there's also some, you have some coaches that are giving advice that shouldn't be. So you kind of gotta get as many opinions as possible. When you're getting advice on how to build a team, I suggest that you don't just say, "Hey, what do I get next?" And if somebody says, "Hey, take Mighty Blow next," just do it. You need to ask why. And so what I'm trying to go with this series is I want to kind of explain why I pick what I pick and why I go the way I go with each team. So we're gonna start with Undead. Next week I'll do Dark Elves, and the following week I'll do Humans. So this is the Human Undead team, Human Undead in-depth team, and we'll go over starting rosters, building the roster, and how to go with all of them. So my first concept with Undead, you kind of got to figure out what kind of team do you have. Undead are really strong out of the box, and they're strong out of the box because they start with 2 Mighty Blow. Nobody else starts with 2 Mighty Blow unless you get into gimmick teams like ogres. So they're really strong out of the blocks. They want to hit first and ask question later. And this is kind of important because when you're choosing to kick off and receive, Undead almost always want to kick off first because they want to get the Mighty Blow hits and try to remove pieces. They're all about removing pieces so they can win the game. So they're a ground and pound team. They're going to slowly move over you. Think similar to dwarfs, similar to orcs. They kind of want to roll over you, remove pieces, and then just walk over the bodies into the end zone. You have a pretty good scoring potential. One of the things that sets them apart is these ghouls are move 7. So you can score from farther back than most teams. You can be 9 squares back and score. So you don't have to get as deep as you would with other teams. For instance, a dwarf runner, they're move 6. Orcs only have move 6, and their throwers move 5. So you're a little bit faster. You have a little bit more speed than the traditional bash teams, and you also have 2 big guys. They're not big guys. There's no nega traits, but they move very slow. So you move slow up front, but you have the potential once you get to where you need to go to score from farther out. Uh, they're throwaway linemen. These zombies back here, zombies and skeletons, they're throwaways because they're extraordinarily cheap and you can get them for free from time to time. They're awesome pieces. So you're throwaway linemen. Undead play the best, in my opinion, in the 15 to 1800 TV range, and TV management for Undead is one of the things that's one of the skills you really need to learn. You don't want to bloat too much up on unimportant pieces. You want to centralize your TV on your very important pieces, your essential pieces, and then everything else needs to be kind of low. So your basic offensive strategy for Undead, you want to follow your mummies. The way to beat Undead is to separate their mummies, which is it's a skill that actually it sounds easy. I'll just keep my mummies together. But if the other team can get them separated, then you're in trouble because you can't really follow one mummy. So follow your mummies, get as many Mighty Blow hits as possible. Anything that hits the ground, you should foul. You should be fouling as often as possible with this team, and we'll get into that the fouling pieces later. But you want to remove pieces. So basically, follow your mummies. Try to stay as centered to the field as possible. If this screen here is the entire Blood Bowl pitch, you want to play on offense. You want to go as far up the middle as possible. And the reason you want to do that is because if you go to the side, when you get down to where they can screen you off right like this, like if you're here, if you're on your offense and you're going here, they can screen you here. Your sideline acts as a defender. You hear me say that all the time, and it limits your options. You want to stay in the middle so that when you get down towards the end of the game and you're going to run into the drive and you're going to score, you can go left, right, or middle. If you pin yourself against the side, you can only go middle or left or middle or right. You can only go 2 directions, which makes it really easy for your opponents to predict and get in your way. So try to stay as middle as possible, follow your mummies, and blow people down. You want to keep your mummies within 4 squares as a general rule. I think 4 squares, I start to get a little nervous. I like them to be either on cage corners, which is they're 1 square apart, or 2 squares apart. If they're 4 squares apart, I start to change my mind on what I'm doing and get them back together. If they're 5 squares apart, I stop what I'm doing and I concentrate on getting them back together. One of the tricks to mummies is they will, if they follow all of their blocks, which you want to do because you want them in contact, and one's blocking this way and one's blocking this way, well, it only takes 2 or 3 turns before one's way over here and one's way over here, and then your ball carrier's got to pick one to hide behind, and then it's not safe. So make sure you follow your mummies and keep them close together. On defense, again, you want to keep your mummies in the middle of the field. If you separate them, if you do the save 5, if you separate them, your opponent, especially if they're a fast opponent, will attack one side and leave the other guy out of the play. So you want to have them a little more central. You don't want them right in the middle, but you want one to the left and maybe 2 squares apart, the other one maybe 3 squares apart. And that way, when he picks a side and commits to one side, you can hold him up and then get the other mummy over there. So pin him again. What you do is you stay in the middle and you shift left and right until he makes a commitment. Once he makes a commitment, use your ghouls and your whites, which is a little faster, to get in front of him and slow him down until your other mummy can reach the play. So you have both mummies in the play. So that's basic offense and that's basic defense. Let's go into the starting lineup. The non-negotiables or the essentials teams, you need to start with 2 mummies and 2 whites. Those are essentials. And the other thing you need to start with Undead, because they're cheap to start and because their pieces are so cheap, start with 3 rerolls. If you're really uncomfortable, you can start with 4. 3 is perfect. This is exactly what you need, and you don't ever need to pick up another one. You can if you like later on, if you have nothing else to buy, but you don't have to worry about getting an Apo because you have Necromancer, or you have Regeneration, excuse me. So don't worry about, and you just get 3 rolls. 2 mummies, 2 whites, 3 rerolls. That's non-negotiable. If you're playing Undead, you're playing them because of the mummies. You absolutely need the whites and then the rerolls. And then your only options when starting Undead are: do you want 2 or 3 ghouls, and then do you want skeletons or zombies? So 2 or 3 ghouls. If you start just like this, 3 ghouls and 4 zombies and 3 rerolls, you're exactly starting 1 million starting gold pieces. So some people don't like to start with 3 ghouls, and there's a good reason. There's a good reason to start with 2 because they're AV7 and they don't have regen. So when they die, they die. And the AV7 can be a liability, especially when you're starting out, and when they don't have skills, and you need skills on your whites right away. So I understand the argument for 2. I like the extra speed and the dodge. The dodge is really good, really strong at starting teams because nobody has tackle, so they're hard to bring down. They need to get a block piece on them. I like to have the versatility. I think Undead really need the speed, otherwise they're slower than dwarfs almost. Because these guys are only move 5. So I like to have the extra speed. It's optional. You can put in an extra zombie there if you want extra fodder and you want to play a slower ground and pound game, but I think the team is slow enough. I think 3 ghouls is the way to go, but I wouldn't argue with you if you went 2. And then start 0 skeletons. Everybody loves skeletons. So the advantage of a skeleton over a zombie is that they move 1 more. They have a movement of 5, and they have thick skulls, so they're hard to stun. They're hard to knock out. The problem is their armor's 7, which makes them easier to get off the pitch. What I suggest if you're serious about playing Undead is build an Undead team with all skeletons and build an Undead team with all zombies, and you'll notice right away that the skeletons do not stick to the pitch. They get removed very, very easily. I strongly suggest you start with 5 zombies. 4 zombies, excuse me. Start with 4 zombies because of the armor 8. And they're going to be on the line anyway, so they're not super important. I would say my very first purchase in a build like this is a skeleton because I want to foul people. You really want to foul people hard when you're playing Undead. But starting out with a skeleton, it's a liability because also you start with a skeleton. Now you have this build with a skeleton starts you with 4 AV7 pieces. And for a bash team, that's not very good. So I would strongly suggest you start with 4 zombies. And then your very first purchase, it's only 40,000. You can literally get that after the first game, is to be a skeleton, and then I start fouling people. The other reason you don't want to get skeletons are only there to foul. That's their only purpose in life, is to foul people. And you can't foul when you're 11 people. You can, but you shouldn't. If you foul when you're at 11 people and you get a send-off, you are now a bash team playing at a disadvantage. Bash teams always want to have the player advantage. That's why they bash. They want to hurt you so they can walk over you. So if you are voluntarily sending your pieces off and you don't have a replacement for them, you will be playing at a disadvantage. So the reason you don't get skeletons is A, they don't stick to the pitch long enough, and B, their purpose is to foul, and you don't want to foul unless you have a bench. That's why I would start with all zombies. Like I said, if you're serious about playing Undead, build a team with all zombies and build a team with all skeletons and play them and see which one you like more. I would bet $1 to a donut you would go with the zombie build. Let's get into mummies. Let's get into skill building skills. So mummies are the bread and butter of undead. They're the ones that hit people, that remove people and stuff. So let's go over normal skills and the build tree. If you're building just normal skills, you start with guard. The very first one you get is guard because you don't have anywhere else to get guard. We'll get into that. The mummies have strength, or the whites have strength access and they can get guard, but that's not their best suit. So these guys, they only have strength access, as you can see. Their first normal skill, every single time, I've very rarely seen a variation from this, is guard. You want the guard because then they can support each other. You can get 3 dice on the line for a piece that does not have block. Getting 3 dice are very important. So once you get one guy with guard, you can clear the line of scrimmage, and get 3 dice all day. So guard is basically non-negotiable. That's your first play. Your second skill, you have all the strength skills, which aren't really that impressive because you already have mighty blow. It's what you really need. My choices are either break tackle or stand firm. And the reason I almost always go break tackle first. And the reason I go break tackle first is because we talked about how mummies are so important, and when they start separating, they're very hard. The way to beat undead is to separate the mummies. Well, a lot of teams can just stick a unvaluable line piece. Like say you're playing a necro team, they'll just stick a mummy or a zombie on your mummy and leave him there until he gets removed. And then the play moves away from the guy who's stuck on somebody. He can't dodge. He's got an AG of 1. You'll see human linemen will do that. Norsemen will do that. Anybody with a really cheap piece. Orcs are awesome at it. An orc lineman can just stick to a mummy, and then that mummy is basically out of the play until that orc lineman gets removed. I like break tackle because it means that they can't lock your mummy into place. He can then break away and get back to the other mummy, and then fill the role he's supposed to fill. Uh, Another great move is stand firm. So he can't move you at that point. I think those are both great moves. I will go break tackle first and stand firm second. Stand firm, of course, I think it's a very underrated skill, but he's a strength 5 piece. A lot of times he'll be on somebody, like you'll put him on a piece because you want to hurt that piece in a future turn, and somebody they'll red die you, they'll uphill, they just want to move you. If you have stand firm, he sticks to that piece, and now he can't move. My third choice is grab, generally. Grab because then I can keep people. I can move when I throw a block. You can then keep that piece next to you or put it away. Grab is a very versatile skill. And then after that, if you get to a force normal skill, then whatever you feel like, Juggernaut's good. Do not get piling on with these guys because if they want to get up and hit somebody, it's a GFI. So when they get knocked down, all they can do is stand back up. If they want to stand back up and hit a piece right next to them, it costs a GFI. So I would not get piling on. These guys need to be as mobile as they can be. Doubles, always block. Always get block on doubles. The second double, dodge is awesome. I've had a block dodge, a blodge mummy. They basically can't be moved because they're strength 5 and they need tackle to bring them down. Most line of scrimmage players don't have tackle. So blodge is super, super strong. You can also go pro if you want to reroll dice. Pro is not as important on these guys as it is on, say, an ogre or a crocs or any other big guy that has a bonehead or a wild animal trait or a really stupid trait because you don't need to worry about re-rolling those. So if you get pro, it's a greedy. You basically greed re-rolling pushes into hopefully it hits. So block, dodge, and then pro would be my move for doubles there. And then you can get tackle if you need, but you're going to have tackle other places, so it's really not important on these guys. Stat ups always take strength. Always take strength. Strength is the most important. If you get strength, get strength. If you get a 12, take it. Because move strength 6, that means other big guys need 2 assists to fucking 2-die you. It makes you can 2-die them back straight. It's really hard to knock you down when you're 6. Do not get AGI. You already have an AGI of 1, so getting to 1 to 2 makes no difference. Skip AGI every single time. So moves. So move is the one quick people that I always ask about. If I got a double 5, so there's only 2 ways to get a 10 for movement. There's double 5s and a 6 and 4. If you get a double 5, use the double for block or dodge. But if you get a 6 and a 4, take the move because then you can get up and hit somebody without a GFI. So double 5s, use the double. 6 and 4, take the move. And that is the mummy, the most important piece to the undead roster. We're gonna get next to the white. Whites are, bread and butter, right? This is your butter right here. Whites, they're very similar to human blitzers. They only have one less move, but they have regeneration, which makes them very similar to orc blitzers. One less armor, but regeneration. So they're a status quo kind of blitzer with strength access. There's really you want to get as many TDs as possible with these guys to start out, and we'll get into that later. But you really want to get, especially that first skill, is extraordinarily important. Was two ways to build whites, two essential ways, two ways that I would build a white. There's hitters, and then there's support pieces. If I'm going to build a hitter and I'm going to build support pieces, I always build the hitter first. Um, and you build the hitter first because once he gets to his first skill, which is Mighty Blow, he can kind of level on his own after that as with injuries because you're going to do most of your blitzing with this guy. You don't blitz a lot with the mummies. You blitz with the mummies when you can and when it's safe because you have to remember you have no block. But a lot of times you need the move 6. You're going to do a lot of your blitzing with your white. So once you get Mighty Blow, he levels on his own pretty decently. So Mighty Blow is the very first play for your hitters because Mighty Blow causes injuries faster, and then he'll get injuries on his own. The very next skill, it depends on my league. If it's an open ladder situation, or I know I'm playing in a normally diverse league, I will take Tackle next because you need it for elves, you need it for other undead ghouls, you need it for rats. Any players that start with dodge, dark elves with their witches, you need tackle. So get Mighty Blow and then tackle. Your other option other than tackle is piling on. If you're playing in a very bash heavy that doesn't have a lot of dodge, piling on is a better option than tackle because you cause more damage with it. So your first one's Mighty Blow, your second one is either piling on or tackle, and then your third skill, normal skill, is the other one. So piling on or tackle. And then after that, you're getting into luxury because you got the 3 skills that you basically need at that point. Pro is really nice for a fourth normal skill because it lets you greed reroll. Um, when you hit with your killer, with your hitter guy, you really want to remove pieces. So when you roll 2 dice and you get 2 pushes, it's frustrating and it's a missed opportunity. So Pro gives you a 50% chance to roll those again and see if you can hit somebody again. You also see Frenzy a lot. I don't like Frenzy on Undead Whites. It's not. I'm not gonna say it's wrong. It's not my preference. Frenzy makes you follow. There's not enough guard on an Undead team to where if you frenzy, you get out of position very easily, and you end up in 1 dies and you end up in traps. If you want to play an undead team that likes to frenzy people, you should play Necro. I am not a huge fan, but once you're around, so you'll see whites on high level undead teams. You'll see whites with like 6 or 7 skills. It gets to the point where once you're familiar enough with the team, yeah, you can get frenzy as a super late skill. It lets you basically roll more block dice. I think it's especially for a fresh team, a low level team. I would not get frenzy unless you want to build them into a surfer teams. That's not really Undead's game. Surfing is not really Undead's game. So skip frenzy until later on, until you're really more familiar with the squad and you know how to build them. It's not the way I would choose. For doubles on the hitter, the only double I would take is jump up. I would take doubles. I would take the jump up. Everything else I would skip. I wouldn't get dodge. I wouldn't get diving tackle. I wouldn't do anything else. I would only get jump up. And part of the reason is hitters need to be TV efficient because hitters don't have a long life. They they hit people when they pile on. They often get kicked. So if you have a hitting piece like this, and he's super expensive, and then he piles on one day, and then somebody comes over and kicks him in the head, and he dies. Now you're out a really expensive piece. But if you have a hitter who only has the one double to jump up because it's super useful, then he's not hard to replace. It's not hard to build a Mighty Blow tackle piece. So they're cheap. So TV efficiency is very important with Undead, and I don't like any more doubles on my hitter who needs to be efficient because they don't live that long. That's the only double I would take. I would skip all others with TV's efficiency. Stabs, of course, I would take strength. On the hitter, I would not take agility. Again, for TV efficiency purposes, an AG4 piece is awesome. An AG4 wide is awesome. It really lets you get where you want to go. As a later skill, I would probably take it. But for his first skills, you really want he needs to hit. He needs the hitting skills. Strength skills are very important. So the mighty blow and the tackle key, and then piling on. I don't like agility. Again, TV efficiency, I don't like agility on my hitting team, even though it does make hitting easier because you can do dodges faster. TV efficiency, in my mind, says skip the agility. Excuse me, move. Yes, take the move. Unless you need the double for the jump up. If you get double fives and you don't have jump up, take the jump up. If you have a 6 and a 4 or you already have jump up, then I would take the move because it lets you reach out and touch people and hit them a little better. I often build both of my whites the same way. I build them both to be hitters. Um, and that kind of depends on if I ended up getting doubles for guards somewhere else on the team. If I don't have guards somewhere else on the team, then my second guy will be a support build. And for my support build, I will build. My very first skill is guard, and guard wins games. It really does. And it's hard to get guard on undead teams because they only have 4 strength access pieces. And you're like I said, one of those strength access pieces, you're already turning into a hitter, and you can get that hitter guard later on once he gets all of his pieces that all the skills that he needs. He can get guard, but it's going to be a while before you get more guard. So guard wins games, man. It's important. So guard and then stand firm is where I would go for my next skill. After that, I would do tackle and mighty blow. That's the exact order I would do it. Guard, stand firm, tackle, mighty blow. I might switch stand firm and tackle, depending on if I have tackle somewhere else on the team. If I have 2 tackle already somewhere else, then I would get stand firm. If I only have 1 or 0 tackle, then I would go guard, tackle, stand firm. Doubles, take dodge. If you can get block, dodge, guard, stand firm, you have basically it's called blodge firm. If you have a blodge firm guard piece, that piece can't be moved. And I've seen discussions about whether blodge firm is good on a strength 3 piece. It's good. It is very, very good. So get the blodge firm doubles automatically. If you get a second double, then you want to get diving tackle because now he can mark pieces, especially if he's got dodge and stand and diving tackle and then get stand firm. You can stick him to an enemy piece, whatever piece you want, the ball carrier, any scoring threat. He can't be moved. A diving tackle piece, they need to get the diving tackle away from the guy they want to move because it's -2 to dodge, and that guy will end up losing the turn. So if you get diving tackle, then get stand firm, he sticks to that piece like glue. That piece is basically stuck there to get punched in a future turn. Stat ups. Take all stat ups. Strength, agility, move are all good. For if you get double fives, take the double. Take the double skills, dodge and diving tackle. If you already have both of those, then take the move. But 6 and 4, take the move every single time. So that is the bread and butter of the undead team. And these are the guys. This is this is the jelly right here. These are the guys that make the scoring happen. There's 3 builds for ghouls. Ghouls. Let's talk about ghouls a little bit. Ghouls are move set or armor 7, and they have no regeneration. They're the only piece without regeneration, which means that you're going to lose them. People will make it a priority target to hit ghouls, and ghouls are where I see a lot of undead coaches. They make poor decisions. Um, Ghouls are disposable. They're as disposable as alignment is. They're 70,000. They're not super expensive. They're mildly expensive, but not super expensive. They're they're very disposable because they just don't have the staying power. They're AV7 and they don't regen. So be prepared. Don't get too attached to a ghoul. If you get a ghoul who starts getting all kinds of stat ups and all kinds of doubles, you're gonna love that piece. Know that that piece eventually will die. Do not get attached to them. And in that in that vein, let's talk about TV efficiency. all there's 3 builds basically for ghouls. There's safeties, ball carriers, and support. 2 of those 3, safeties and ball carriers, only need 2 skills to actually fulfill their role, and we'll get into those. And support really needs 3, but that's not a lot of investment. It's not hard to rebuild a ghoul. Um, there's an argument to be made, which I have done, that once your piece has the 2 skills he needs, if he gets another skill, then you just fire him and start over. And you do that because again, you want to play undead in the 15 to 1800 range. Once you start getting above 1800, you're gonna run into a lot of claw teams, and you have nothing to combat claw because you don't have like the way an orc team combats claw. The best they can is they get lots of guard. You don't have room for lots of guard. You don't have the ability to get lots of guard unless you roll a ton of doubles, which is going to shoot your TV all the way up. So the great way to play against lots of high claw teams is have inducements. You want bribes to kick people when you knock them down. You want wizards and stuff. You don't really want to play over 1800. You often see undead teams do that. I think it's a mistake. So consider firing these guys to keep your TV level down if they get more skills than they need. So my very first ghoul of the 3 ghouls I build, you would think it'd be the ball carrier. I build my ball carrier last, and I do that on every race. I build my main ball carrier as the very last guy because everybody needs touchdowns. Your first 2 touchdowns as undead should go to your white, your hitting white, so he can get mighty blow. Your next 2 touchdowns should go to your second white, whether he wants to hit or whether he wants to be support or whatever. So your first 4 touchdowns, you really want to focus on getting those to the white. Oftentimes ghouls will get there. I mean, sometimes you just gotta take a touchdown where you can take a touchdown. Just get it where you can. But that's the reason I build my ball carrier last, because if you build your ball carrier first, you have a tendency to rely on that ball carrier, and then he scores touchdowns and he shoots up in value while the rest of your team lags behind in development. The other pieces need to get their touchdowns in. So my first goal is a safety, and the reason my first goal is a safety is because the safety only needs 2 skills, and you can give it a third if you want. The safety or sacker is another way to say it. His first skill is wrestle. His second skill is tackle. That's it. That's all he needs, and he's completely done. You don't have to score with him anymore. If he ends up getting any more levels, this next level will be strip ball. He can be a pure sacker, or you can fire him and start over. He only needs 2 skills, and it's not hard to get 16 skills. So wrestle and tackle, and that's it. And that guy's basically done. He can be in the back, like when you're playing on defense, he stays in the back. So if somebody gets by him, he goes and tackles them. I would not get doubles. I would not get stat ups. I want this guy to be as TV efficient as possible. And you can carry 4 ghouls, and when you get to that point where you're carrying 4 ghouls, it's great to have 2 safeties. You usually want to have 3 in the field at one time, but so yeah, just wrestle tackle, and then if you get squirrely and you really like your wrestle tackle piece, and he somehow gets us another level, strip ball is the way to go. But I would skip all doubles, I would skip all stat ups, and keep this guy lean and trim as possible. My next guy would be support. My second guy would be support. Again, not a ball carrier. On normal, I get block. And then my very next skill would be diving tackle and then sidestep. Or sidestep and diving tackle, depending on what you want to do. And the way I would choose is I would choose by if I got doubles. So my first skill is block or my double. And the double is only guard as your only choice. You can get Mighty Blow, but you already have plenty of Mighty Blow options other places. So getting Mighty Blow on a ghoul, and I've tried it, and you can try it if you like, it ends up being a piece where you don't hit with it as much because you have other pieces that fill that role. And you are so desperate for guard on an undead team, you really need to get guard here. So if I get guard, and then I get block, because then I have block to protect that guard piece, then I get sidestep next. And I do that because then I can move that guard piece around. If I don't get a double, if it's just block, and then my next piece is diving tackle, and then sidestep. And then tackle is my last normal piece. Guards the only double. Stat ups, I would take all of them. They're all good. If I got double fives, I would take the guard over the move, unless I already had it. But the other thought is you have to remember these are move 7. If you get a ghoul that can take movement, you should really consider it because once you get to move 8, you can one turn. You can one turn to move 7. It takes all 11 pieces. It's very difficult because your team is so slow you can't really get around. But once you get to move 8, one turning becomes a possibility, especially if this piece also gets the sidestep and you have a mummy with grab, then you can reliably one turn. If you don't know how to one turn, you should learn. Uh, so always consider the move 8, whether you want the guard or the move 8 more importantly. And then when the very last guy I build is a ball carrier. Ball carrier is easy. He's block and he's sure hands. And he's done. That's all he needs, and he's block and sure hands. If you get a double, go ahead and take the guard because having a guard on your ball carrier is super useful. It is more useful than people think. But all you need is block and sure hands. And like I said, he's your ball carrier, and you use him in clutch situations. But you have to be careful because your ball carrier can balloon in TDs, and he can balloon in TV super fast because he's scoring all the time. Doubles, I would get guard. I would skip any more doubles after that. You don't need anything else after that. Take all stat ups. For the fives, double fives, I would take the move over the guard because he's your ball carrier and you want him to be able to score for him. And then you can get a 4th ghoul. I think most undead should carry the 4th, even if they're not using all 4 ghouls on the pitch at the same time. You should at least have him, and it's up to you whether you want to build him as a second ball carrier, a second safety, or a second support piece. They're all good roles. Whatever you think is more useful for your team, you just build another one. My suggestion is the safety sacker or the ball carrier because they only take 2 skills, and if you have a guy on the bench with 2 skills, it's not going to hurt you that much. Be very careful when you're undead, and this is where a lot of undead coaches go south, is that they get these ghouls, they get a ton of skills, and they fly up in TV, and then they start running into these really nasty claw pieces, and they have nothing to support, they have nothing to combat them with. So you really have to be careful about your TV efficiency with ghouls. And now the backbone. The backbone of the entire squad is the zombie. Zombies are throwaway pieces, but extraordinarily useful. One of the nice advantages of zombies is if the other enemy team has a nasty piece, like just a nasty fucking I'm gonna kill everything piece, you can just put a zombie on him. Stick a zombie onto him and stick to him, and then that zombie is sitting there and he's taking punches, then he's doing his job. Um, and he's freeing up the rest of your team to move around that super nasty piece, and that super nasty piece isn't hitting your important ghouls and your important whites and your important mummies. That's what zombies do. Throw them away. Stick them on people and hit people. Um, you want to carry a bench of 2 to 3 people as undead. You want to build up to a two. By the time you hit 1200 TV, you want to have at least a bench of 2. And as you go higher than that, you want to start looking towards a bench of 3 because you're going to foul with zombies because they're only 40,000 pieces. You're going to foul with them all the time. Undead is at heart a bash team, which means you want to remove pieces. You need to remove pieces to win. So when you knock people down, if they don't get removed, kick them in the head with a zombie or a skeleton. That's what their job is. To do that, they don't really need more than one skill. All they need is dirty player. Um, that's it. and then you're good. If you get 2 skills on a zombie, have a plan for that zombie. A wrestle dirty player zombie. I've seen undead teams use that to great effect. Somebody will hit a zombie, or a zombie will attack somebody with a guard with block, wrestle him down, and then his buddy will come in and kick him. If you want to invest TV in zombies, that's a great way to go, because you get people down to the ground and you kick them in the head. I generally, with my zombies, I will get 1 or 2 dirty players. I might get kick, and kick's an important skill. Kick's often misused and misunderstood skill. It is not a bad idea to get your very first zombie as a kick. When you're kicking as undead, you want to kick the ball short. You don't want to kick the ball deep. Kick the ball short. And the reason you want to kick the ball short is you are a bashing team. So if the ball is short, then he has to be in contact with you or closer to your team. If you kick it deep as undead, then he's going to be able to get far away from you and set up his offense, and you're not hitting people, which is what you're supposed to do when you're undead. So if you get the kick skill, which is a great skill on almost every team, kick it short with undead because you want to bash. You can get a couple of block if you like. I would probably get the wrestle so you can kick people, but you can get block. Play around with it. The zombies are one of those things that people you kind of got to play around with. Again, TV efficiency. If you have more than one skill, if you have more than, you can maybe have one zombie with 2 skills, maybe 2. I would if I get one, if I get more than one, I just start firing them. Also, you have to be careful because you get free zombies all the time. They're free when you buy them because you kill another player and then you just get that zombie for free, but he still costs TV. So you have to watch your bench. They can bloat a little fast if you're not firing unskilled zombies or firing skilled zombies. Often when I'm choosing which zombie to fire, if I already have 1 or 2 dirty players, I'll find one that got an MVP that has 5 SPP and I'll fire him because I don't want him to get leveled. Doubles, if you get doubles, get guard and then try to get block. If he manages to get another one, take the guard while you can get it. He'll probably die before he gets the block, but use it while you have it. It's a great piece to have, and if you get to a second skill with him, then get block. And then you probably won't get a 3rd skill. But if you do happen to get a 3rd skill, you can go tackle, you can go pro. If you get doubles, you would go stand firm. Stat ups, skip all stat ups with zombies. You do not want to invest extra TV in stat ups or doubles. Well, I mean, the only double you want is guard. You do not want to invest in a stat up. You don't want the 60,000 TV for strength or the 50,000 for agility. It doesn't do you any good. I have seen strength zombies. They don't add anything to the team. You're already hitting with your other pieces. He's not going to carry the ball with strength 4. He's not going to hit because you have whites and you have mummies to hit. It's a waste. It's a waste of TV. So skip all stat ups. And then the very last piece, the flavor piece, is the skeleton. Skeletons look really cool. I'll give them that. I will give them that. They only have one purpose in life, and that is to fucking kick people in the head while they're down. They're better fouling pieces than zombies because they have one more move. Like I said, I don't start with a zombie. I always carry a skeleton towards the end. It's my first purchase. I never carry more than 1 skeleton. And if he dies, I just buy another one. They're only 40,000. They're not expensive. It's nice to have one. If he ends up with a skill, he gets dirty player. That is the only thing I would give him. If that dirty player skills again, I'll give him kick. And that's it. And then if they get more than that, I'll fire him. But I only carry 1, and those are the skills I get. His whole job is to foul people. He moves 1 more. He's only got agility 2, so he's not dodging. He's not good for the fight. If you get doubles, skip doubles. There's nothing for doubles that you want to get. Skip all stat ups because he doesn't stick around. He's only AV7 and he's AG2. He doesn't stick around long enough. So skip all stat ups. I have seen strength 4 mummy or skeletons. Little bit of effect to it. There's a little bit there, but again, TV efficiency, man. Undead, you have to be TV efficient because once you start bloating up, you're going to start facing teams you don't want to face because you have no answer for Claw. You have nothing to combat Claw. You don't have the guard access that an Orc team has to combat Claw, and even Orcs with a lot of guards struggle against heavy Claw teams. So you really have to be careful. You want to play your team around the 15 to 800 range. You can't get extra skills on your skeleton. Get the 30 player, call it a day. And that's it. That is Undead in depth. That is how I run Undead. You, of course, can. I suggest you take what I said and use it as a building spot. Start there and move around and kind of be like, well, I want to try this. You said don't do this, and here's why you said don't do this. Well, let me try it for myself and see if I can understand what you're saying. A lot of times people say, you'll go into the chats and people say do this or don't do this. I would say do it and test it for yourself, especially if it's not if it's not an important team, if it's not a league team, or if it's in a ladder, some kind of open ladder or open format. Just go ahead and pick different skill combinations and see what you like and what you don't like. What I've given you here is how I play Undead, and it works, and I know it works. So I would say start here and try those different things and see what you like. See if you can get your Undead up to 2,000 and see what it feels like. Maybe there's a lot of successful Undead teams that are over 2K. Um, they're short-lived. They're short-lived. I've got a couple Undead teams over 2K. You murder stuff for a couple games, and then eventually you lose a white, and you lose a mummy, and then you're over. And once you're rebuilding mummies, once you get to 1800, 1900, 2000 TV, you lose one skilled mummy, you can't win games anymore. It's very difficult to win games because you have a fresh mummy. The good thing about mummies is they start out of the box pretty solid. But like if you're at 2000 TV and you lose your killer white, then you're in trouble because you have nobody to hit with. Whereas those high level chaos teams or those 2,000 plus teams, if they lose one piece, they have other guys that fill in the gaps. So try to stay within 15 to 800. Do what you can. That's what I got for you guys. My next in-depth series will be Dark Elves. That'll be next week, probably Friday, I'm guessing. I'll do Dark Elves, and then I'll wrap it up with humans for my third of the series. And that's what I got. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. See you.